So in this final Getting Started video, we're going to take a look at some of the aspects of the course that are included in the coursework part of your grade. So the coursework itself is made up of chapter modules, and in each of those chapter modules you have smaller assignments for you to complete. So before we go any further, I just wanted to give you the information of Blackboard Technical Support one more time. So you have a phone number that's open 24/7, so if you ever have issues with Blackboard, feel free to give them a call. They of course also have a web address as well. If there's a course-related issue, please feel free to contact me. So my email address was on the previous slide, so you can rewind this video and take it down if you haven't already. So next, we're just going to look at the course homepage, the calendar, and whatnot, and get a feel for the course layout. So your homepage should look something like this. So you have a bunch of squares, and each of those squares serve a certain function. So for example, this is your announcements. So you'll see announcements here. There aren't any posted yet. You'll have a to-do list, so a bunch of assignments that are going to be due. Since I'm not an actual student, there's not going to be a whole lot here for me. You have your report card, so it tells you what your grade is. You have tasks. You have what's new, so what's been posted recently. You have alerts. And probably most importantly, you have the online student training. So if you ever have an issue, you can always just click on this link, and it'll bring you to this helpful page with useful information on it. So this is your course homepage. So it has lots and lots of useful information here at your fingertips. Also useful is the calendar. So it's under course tools on the left. So the calendar, just as it says, or just as the name implies, gives you a list of assignments that are going to be due. So it looks like you have a whole bunch of assignments that are going to be due on Saturday and some that are going to be due on Friday as well. Next, we have announcements. So as you saw, there's a section for announcements where you'll see those pop up. Almost always they'll be sent out via email to the class. So when I post them, they'll get blasted out to the whole entire class, so you'll receive them in your email. However, there's a tendency for those emails to sometimes get sent to your spam filter, so make sure you constantly check that, or make sure you set it as safe so those get sent to you. Okay, so now let's actually talk about the chapter modules. So I really think of this being the meat of the course. So this is where you do a lot of your learning. Each week is worth 5% of your grade. So it's quite a bit. But again, a lot of your learning is going to happen here. So it should be worth a lot of your grade. For this intersession course, I recommend about 2 modules per day. So for example, if this is day 1, you would be doing Getting Started in chapter 1 today. So those would be the 2 modules you'll be doing. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there are a variety of assignments inside each of those chapter modules. So you have things like pre-quizzes, guided readings, mind tap homework, and discussion boards. So we'll be talking a little bit more about each of those, explaining what they are and how to access them. Before we move any further though, there are some miscellaneous things. So these aren't really worth points, but they're very important. So perhaps the most important is a things to do list. So just as the name sounds, these are the things you need to accomplish. So if you open the week 1 folder, you should see the things to do list once you complete your Getting Started quiz. Also watch out for extra credit assignments, so those will be in blue on the things to do list. Second, we have learning objectives. So these are the things I want you to be able to accomplish after each chapter. So in each chapter module, you'll see a list of learning objectives. And again, these are the things I want you to be able to accomplish. And a very important tip is to study these topics for the exams. So literally, my exams are constructed directly off of the learning objectives. So if you've mastered learning objectives, you should do well on the exam. And lastly, we have pre-quizzes. So these are included at the beginning of every chapter module. So these are not graded. They're sort of to get you primed for the content they're going to be experiencing in that chapter module. The tricky thing about the pre-quizzes, though, is that until you take the pre-quiz, the rest of the chapter module is going to be locked. So that pre-quiz needs to be completed before the rest of the chapter opens up. And again, as long as you're not at one of these practice chapter numbers, so we'll talk a little bit about what those are later in this video, But when they're not in one of those chapter modules, they're going to be not graded. So they're not worth points, but you do need to complete them to move on in the course. So next we have the readings. So these are the links to the ebook. So you'll see a bunch of links in those folders, and those will direct you to the various spots or readings I want you to look at. To access them though, you need to register for MindTap first. So MindTap is a software that the publisher runs, so that's how you access your ebook. To register, just follow the directions. In the Getting Started folder, there's a link there for you to follow. Very importantly, do not pay for anything. You can use a free trial for the time being, while the publisher gives you your free access a little bit later this week. So please do not pay, just use the free trial for the time being. So let's take a look at a couple of these things right now. So chapter modules are going to be under Coursework, so we're going to click here. We're going to go to week 1. You'll notice I only have 2 chapters available. So for you guys, you actually won't see any until you complete the Getting Started quiz. So you need to get full points on the Getting Started quiz, then all the other chapters are going to open up for you in week 1. But for now, for demonstration purposes, I've left open chapter 2 and this practice chapter 9. So we're going to open up chapter 2, take a look. So again, we have learning objectives for chapter 2, so all the things you have to be able to do. And then we have our pre-quiz. As I said, nothing else is available in this chapter module. So I'm going to quickly go over the pre-quiz. You'll notice it gives me instructions before I begin. This is the same as any quiz or test you're going to take. So if you're ever looking for directions, just click on the link and it'll give you descriptions, instructions, and all the restrictions there. So when we come back, I'll show you what the rest of the chapter looks like. Okay, so I've completed my pre-quiz, and you can notice that now I have more folders opened up. So as we talked about, we have the readings right here. So we have all the readings we need to accomplish. And remember, you need to register for MindTap first to get access to these. So for information on how to do that, you can either use the Getting Started folder, or you can use this link right here called MindTap First Time Login. If you open that up, it's going to give you instructions. So please read these first and do not pay. Open those up. And we'll give you instructions on how to register for MindTap. Again, do not pay. So we're going to choose this 5C. So you follow all these steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you get to 5, we're going to go to 5C. So we're going to pay later. If you have any issues, you can always contact them. So Monday through Friday, they're open 24 hours, and they're also open the weekends as well. So the first time you try to access one of these readings, it's going to ask you to register. And you only have to do that once. So once you register and log in, you won't have any more issues. Just click Create a New Account, fill this out, so on and so on, and then you'll be set. So another common assignment you'll see is the guided reading. So essentially this is a worksheet for you to complete. I should say it's actually a test, since Blackboard calls it a test, but really it's a worksheet. So it's untimed, it's open book, open note. You get 2 chances to take it. So really it should not be a very challenging exercise. Really what I'm testing here is to make sure you read the textbook. So I think this is a pretty good textbook, so I definitely want to use it as a resource and definitely read it before you look at my lecture videos. So again, you get 2 attempts, so you should score full points on that. As I just alluded to, there will be lecture videos as well. These go over the content for the chapter, and they're not worth points. Of course, though, I spend a lot of time recording these, so I highly recommend you take a look at them. The third type of assignment you see is the MindTap homework. So this is publisher-authored homework. So the website used for the ebook is the same we're going to be using for the MindTap homework. And this is going to test your knowledge after you completed the reading and the video. It's going to see how well you understood the concepts. And the homework is not really meant to hurt your grade, it's meant to be a learning experience. So you can actually complete the homework as many times as you want for the highest grade. And again, just like the ebook, the publisher will provide access for free, so please do not pay for anything. So next we're going to talk about this practice chapter number. So you actually saw that when I pulled open the chapter modules. Let's close this PowerPoint. So if we go back to the chapter modules, go back to week 1, there's a practice chapter 9. So as opposed to just the plain chapter modules, like chapter 2, practice modules are meant to help you, of course, practice. So they're meant to prepare you for the practice exams and the actual exam itself. So a practice chapter starts with a pre-quiz just like all the other chapter modules. The major difference, though, is that this pre-quiz is actually graded. So here this pre-quiz is worth 50 points. So that means you actually have to complete all the questions on the pre-quiz and answer them to the best of your ability. Again, it's going to give us some instructions. It's going to allow you to begin. So here we're actually going to get fairly high-level questions, so questions on the level with the exam. So it should prepare you very well for both the practice exam and the actual exam itself. So just remember, if a pre-quiz is in a practice chapter number, so if it's in that kind of chapter module, it's going to be graded. If it's just in a regular chapter module, so for instance, just chapter 2, that pre-quiz is not going to be graded. So you'll also be having discussion boards in this course. There's going to be 5 discussion boards worth 1% each. So they cover a variety of controversial genetic topics, and because of that, I want you to be aware of netiquette, so make sure you look at the netiquette rules in the syllabus. Since these are controversial genetic topics, there's no true correct answer. So if your answer is just a few sentences, that means you've not put enough thought into the question. So all of these topics are very controversial, and they should provoke deep thought. So you should have fairly lengthy discussion board posts. So again, the keyword here is controversial, so make sure you're following proper netiquette. Next, we have practice exams. So these give you an idea of what the actual exam will look like. So there's going to be a timer running, so it'll give you an idea how to pace yourself. It will have questions spanning all the chapters we cover that week, and those questions are going to be very challenging. So the practice exam, though, is graded on participation, just like the pre-quizzes and the practice chapter number modules. So you just have to complete all the questions to your best of your ability to receive full credit for that practice exam. Each is worth 1.25% of your grade, and as I said in the syllabus video, the actual exam won't open until you complete the practice exam. And of course, after the start date for the actual exam itself. And once again, the reason why I have you do the practice exams, and of course the reason why I have you do any assignments at all, is to help prepare you to do well in the course. So the practice exam is probably the best way to prepare for the actual thing. And lastly, we have your grades. So this allows you to see how well you're doing in the course. Some assignments are automatically graded, so you may see them pop up in the gradebook. However, a lot of assignments are going to require me to grade them. So probably the most common symbol you're going to see in your gradebook is this yellow exclamation mark. So this means you've turned it in, but it's not graded. Another issue you may run into with your gradebook is you may find that some grades are hidden. So this is especially true for things like the practice exam and for things like pre-quizzes, so I usually hide those grades since I'm going to have to regrade them manually by hand.